now is really getting into, that was a lot of just the backdrop of what we're doing and some of the frameworks that we're using. What I want to do right now is really go into the nefesh part of an orientation techniques within the world of nefesh, of physical, in order to, I mean, how many of us really want to be able to remember our dreams, remember our dreams, thank you. Yeah, remembering dreams, that would be great. And then working with them, even better. But what we want to do right now is I want to give over some physical orientations for how to orient ourselves. And in order for me to do that, I want to give you a little bit of a backdrop about the science of sleep and a little bit of the understanding of some of those brain waves. We have a beautiful concept in our sources. If you look at the great mystics of the Kabbalistic tradition, they're called Yordei Merkava, the ones who go down and do the Merkava mystics. From Ezekiel's vision of the chariot mystics. It's like the highest level of Jewish mystics that you have. They're called specifically Yordei Merkava, the ones who go down into the chariot. And it's a very profound thing. Because so much of this deep work is about going down, and that actually is literal in terms of our brainwaves, in terms of our state of consciousness. One of the things that we want to be accessing is a going down experience. Now, I know that earlier we talked about how the goal is to go up and to create elevations. True. Granted, but we also have a beautiful spiritual principle of Yerida L'Tzorech Aliyah, a Jewish idea of you go down in order to elevate. And we certainly see that within our dream consciousness. When we go down into our deeper, lower, slower brain waves, we access higher heights. That is that we're going to be talking about here in Nefesh is how do we go down? How do we become Yordei Merkava? How do we become those who are able to descend into a deeper state of being? Okay, so I'm going to show you another vision here. So this again is going back to our image of the ladder. Here we have a beautiful scientific ladder of what happens in the stages of sleep and sleep consciousness. It's really beautiful, actually. Like, look at the symmetry here. Look at like the grace of this illustration. And this is when we are traversing different brain waves and speeds. So in our awake state up here, we are in beta or alpha waves of the brain. And then we start to go to sleep. And as we're going into sleep, slower brain waves is called theta. And theta brain waves is where all the REM, all the dreaming activity happens, and also meditation. You can meditate and get into a theta state. That's why at the beginning of this call we were listening to theta music, because there's certain music that can help promote theta waves in our brains. And brain scans, across the world have shown this to be true. And by the way, this map here of this ladder is a universal. Every single person follows this map in our dreaming, and it's a ladder of going up and going down. And that's what we do every night. We're going up and we're going down in our consciousness as we sleep and hitting different stages of consciousness in the course of one night. So again, up here are the higher, faster frequencies of brain waves, beta and alpha, getting down into theta at REM sleep. And then we have all of the stages of the non-REM sleep here. We have 3 stages of, it's called NREM, non-REM, and that is no dreams, but it's very deep rest. By the time it gets down to stage 3, takes some time we're all up in our awake consciousness and we start to slow down and to get tired and to start to enter theta, and then deepening down, down, down into delta. And when we hit that 3rd stage of delta is when the deep healing, we talked about that halam place of physical vitality. You cannot have physical vitality, you cannot have physical health if you're not reaching to the lowest depth of rest and rejuvenation that happens deep on the slow waves of delta are essential for our psychic system. We have to go down to the deepest possible place here. That's why they say that sleep is 1/60th of death. It's really like a massive near-death experience that we have every night when we hit those deep delta waves of slowing ourselves down massively to experience delta. So that's what happens first. And then finally, within about 90 minutes, we're like those angels going back up the ladder. We go back up the ladder and we head up to theta, and in theta we have our first set of dreaming that happens, and it's a short dream. The understanding, by the way, I'm going to read this to you, okay, because it's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Sorry. A little bit of the science and what they've discovered is that this is from Robert Stickgold, which is from Harvard University. He says that there's two really crucial stages of dreaming. There's the first part of the night when we're getting into that delta, and then there's the early morning when we finally get over here, which is the dreams. And he says that what goes on in the first stage, right here in these early hours of restoration, is that information flows from the memory center of the brain, the cerebral cortex. And over a period of 4 hours, the brain distributes the new information that was studied and acquired during the day and sends it to the appropriate locations in the neurons of the central nervous system. So the activity that's happening down here is where we take everything that we've learned and we've experienced from the day, intellectually, emotionally, and we're processing through it big time. This is like a lot of intellectual and emotional processing is going on here. And then once we've worked through all of that material, only once we've worked through all that material, do we finally get way over here to the place where, like, okay, I've kind of processed through all my stuff. Now I'm ready to dream. Now I'm ready. This is when we start to receive we can have mystic, psychic experiences up here in the early morning dreams. And of course, it says in the Talmud so beautifully in Brachot 55b that there are certain types of dreams which are real and certain types of dreams which are like fluff and not real, and you got to know the difference. And so it says that there's some dreams that are from demons and some dreams that are from angels. And so we can understand that the demon-oriented dreams are like a lot of our demonic experiences within ourselves, I would say, happening while we're still processing through all the intense material of the day right here in these early cycles of the dream work. So a dream in this area is mostly going to be like Freud talks a lot about, how dreams are really just like emotional catharsis and processing through the gunk of your day-to-day. And he's not wrong. That's true. A lot of dreams are gunk, but that's the point, is to work through all that and get to the dreams that are not gunk, but are really higher messaging and connections and psychic, understandings and downloads and breakthroughs. That's our goal. But in order to get over here, we have to first start with these lower levels and go yared, really going down to the deepest places. Okay, so what happens when you finally do that is in the later stages is there's rapid chemical processes that happen. The hippocampus disconnects from the cerebral cortex, and the brain has strengthened the connections between the nerve cells and everything that was learned during the day. And at this point, we're able to get into the creative experiences of dreaming. Okay, so again, this science part also will be included in your source sheets if you want to look at it a little bit more. Obviously, I am not a scientist, so forgive me if whatever I'm saying is pseudoscience, but this is, Harvard Medical. There is real science out there, and if that's something that you're interested in delving more into and feeding back to me information, then I'd be interested to hear more of what you find. So one thing that's really beautiful is it's best to get 8 hours of sleep. So that is one piece of homework, my friends, is if you can get 8 hours of sleep, that is preferred every night, so that you can get through the gunk of all this early stuff and get into this really juicy later stages of dream. That's our goal, is to get into the juicy stuff, which is later in the night. Okay. Let's see. Can I come out of that? Great. So that is a little bit of the science behind the importance of going down, is accessing those deeper brain waves. And so the main ways to do that are going to be meditation, relaxation, before we go to bed. That's going to be an essential piece of how we orient ourselves as much as we can before we go to sleep. Really doing visualization and meditations before we move into sleep. And now I want to get into some of that with you. And I've made you wait this long, so thank you for your patience. Let's go ahead, and the technique that I want to share with you is really just to start with, like, let's remember our dreams. And if you have a hard time remembering your dreams, then here's, and also these techniques are going to be included in your source sheet. So here's a really, a nice way for how to do that. The first one I'll open up. So if you're having a hard time knowing, actually remembering your dreams, so one really important thing that you can do is the way when we wake up in the morning, we basically remember our dreams going backwards. We remember the dream that we just had right before waking up first, and then we were in reverse order. We remember back to the dreams that happened earlier and before that. So this way, again, this is a sort of type of yerida, of going down and moving backwards. So you want to teach your mind to think backwards, my friends. That's one technique. We want to teach our mind to think backwards. So go ahead and close your eyes right now. I'm going to give you a very quick reverse recall technique. So closing eyes, I want you to think as you're breathing and relaxing your body as always. I want you to go ahead and first think about what just happened. Think about what you just said in the group chat. Think about the beginning of this call. Think of getting onto this call. Think about what you were doing for dinner or 2 hours ago. Think backwards in your day and try as much as you can to go over the milestones of your day in backwards order. Go ahead and spend a moment trying to think back 5, 10 milestones of the day that you can remember backwards. Until you get to the morning when you woke up. Okay? That's our first little technique. If you want, during the day as part of your homework, try and do that. Try to evoke in your head, say, oh, let me stop for a minute and try to do some reverse recall. Train your mind in how to think backwards and how to remember backwards, because that's a technique and a skill that you're going to be using when you wake up in the morning trying to remember your dream. You're going to want to be able to say, oh, I know how to think backwards. And I do that all the time. Okay? That's a good one. So that's the reverse recall. Number 2 is intention setting. And this is why setting intentions is really crucial. Kavanot and setting intentions for ourselves. So I want you to right now think about what intention you want to go ahead and set for tonight. Okay? What kind of dream do you have? If you're a person who doesn't remember their dreams, then I want you to set an intention that you remember your dream. If you're a person who, is already remembering your dreams, or you want to fly in your dream, or you want to become conscious in your dream, I want you to choose right now one intention that you want to set for yourself for tonight and for the week ahead. This is going to be one intention for the week, because sometimes it takes more than one night of setting the intention. It often takes, I'm going to come back here, it often takes several nights before that intention fully comes down into being, but I promise you it will. I guess by the 3rd night or so, like whatever intention that you're going to set now, hopefully you're going to start to see the fruits of that. So go ahead and let's do it right now. So again, closing eyes and breathing. And relaxing. A relaxed body is a relaxed reality, and a relaxed mind that is more flexible and malleable. And go ahead and set your intention for your dreaming during this week, a breakthrough that you want to have in your dreaming for this week. And I want you to say it in affirmative statement of, I will remember my dream, or tonight I fly. The stronger, the better. So tonight I fly. trying to access the energy of like knowing that this thing is going to happen and that you're setting the intention. Okay, so having your intention now, and go ahead and scream it out in your head. A silent scream in your head. If you want to say it out loud, you can. You're muted, so you can also scream it out loud. Scream it out. Tonight I dream. Okay, scream it out. Perfect. Now go ahead and imagine it's happening. Create a visualization for yourself right now. If you want to remember your dream, you imagine that you're waking up and you're having this incredible memory of your dream. If you want to fly in your dream, imagine that you're flying. Go ahead right now, and I want you to, in vivid detail, use your faculty of imagination to imagine the reality of this intention, and go ahead and see that in bright colors right now. Add in anything that you smell. Put a smell with this. What does it smell like to fly in your dream? Add a smell. Add a sound now. What does it sound like? What is a sound that you can associate? Maybe it's a bell. Maybe it's a bird. Choose a sound. Now imagine the feeling in your body of this experience. You can add on a taste. Does it have a taste associated with it? And go ahead and take your index finger and your thumb and press them together. And as you press your index finger and your thumb together, I want you to say your intention and your reality statement aloud. Tonight I dream. As you press your index finger and your thumb together, say your intended statement. Take a deep breath and another deep breath. Saying your intended statement in your head, holding your fingers together like this. Holding your finger, saying your statement, having all of the layers of the experience around it, the smell and the sound and the touch and the taste. Take another deep breath and release your fingers. And breathe again. And now put your fingers back together and say the statement again. And access that place where you are experiencing your intended reality while putting your finger together. And breathing. And releasing your fingers. And one last time, go ahead and put your fingers together again, your index and your thumb, and experiencing that your tonight I fly. And just with this knowing that you are programming that in. Programming that into your body right now. And you can keep on visualizing that. And I want to just tell you that this works. And I want you to believe that this works and to know that this works. Because that is the nature of our unconscious self. It's like a child who is very believes and has open, trusting faith. And engaging with that part of yourself that believes that it's true. That's the dreamer in you. The dreamer in you that knows that whatever you want to dream is possible. Really calling that place into being right now. And knowing that just by sitting on this call, you're already feeding that part of you and living that part of you. Okay. When you're ready, I'd love for you to write in the chat box what your statement is. go ahead and write it out, because also writing it out is going to help you to firm it up in your head. Go ahead and writing out your statement, your intention. Great. People wanting to remember their dreams. Yes. Okay. You know, we wake up in the morning and the first thing we say is Moda ani lefanecha melechai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla rabba monatecha. I'm Moda ani. I'm so thankful before you, God, that you return my soul to me with great faith, b'chemla, and compassion. You were told, turn my soul to me. The Rambam teaches us, the Kabbalistic understanding is that when we're sleeping at night, the layers of our soul, the top 4 layers of our soul, are able to detach from the rest of from our body, from our nefesh stays below with our body. The other layers of our soul are able to detach and roam around and have incredible adventures and explorations and insights every single night. So it makes perfect sense that the first thing that we say when we wake up in the morning and come back to our consciousness in the morning is, thank you, God, for giving me compassionately my soul back, for returning my neshama to me and reuniting, creating the achdut and the connection between my upper soul and my lower soul, and a clear communication between the two. So when we say that Moda Ani, just remember that you are those layers. You're not just your nefesh. You're not just your conscious self. You're all of those layers that have, your soul is being returned to you with information and with knowing, and that's part of who you are. You're not just your conscious self. So when we do these exercises and we can program in and to our body, our physical body, the ideas and the intentions, we relax. It really allows us to access and have a really flowing communication between the levels of ourself. And that's what we're accessing here. So that's the first level of the physical, of the nefesh, and physical orientations that we can do. Just a couple of other quickies just to throw out here. And again, these are on your source sheet, which is when you wake up in the morning, don't open your eyes, don't move, just try to remember your dream. Okay, studies have shown that within 5 minutes, you've lost half of it. Within 10 minutes, the dream is gone. So don't do anything else for like 10 minutes. Like really try to remember your dream right there at the moment that you come into consciousness, as much as you can to remember it. Crucial is to have a dream journal. And I have, your homework is going to be to have a dream journal. And it's again going to be on your list and your papers that you're going to get from me. But having it by your bed. The other night, my son was listening to me talking about dreams, and he brought me to his room and he showed me that he put his dream journal next to his bed. And this is the kid who I never expected to have dreams that he remembered, because he's just into soccer and it's not his thing. And sure enough, within several days, he said, "Oh my God, you won't believe it, Mom. I had a dream about losing my teeth, and then I went to school and I lost my teeth. I lost a tooth at school that day." I was like, yeah, my soccer playing kid is like having dream breakthroughs just by putting the freaking book next to his bed and hearing me talk about it, and being a little interested in it. Easy. This stuff is so easy. So just by having a dream journal, doing it immediately, having the pen and paper. Sometimes I know it's helpful if you don't want to turn on the light or whatever. If you have your phone, if your phone's not distracting, then turn on your phone and do a voice memo to yourself, saying what your dream is, saying it out loud to somebody else, or saying it out even just to yourself, but saying it out loud in words will also help. As much as you can, do like the bullet points of whatever you can remember. Again, in that reverse order, just having the bullet points. If you have the bullet points, usually the details will kind of come along with it. So getting those basic bullet points. A technique that apparently works very well is shifting your body when you wake up. So if you're not remembering your dream when you wake up, shifting your body to lie on the other side, because the moment that your body moves back into the stance it was in when you were dreaming, then that dream will come back to you. The body memory of it will allow you to remember it consciously. So there's a technique of also, if you're not remembering, or when you do remember, to remember what you remember. And then, like, let's say the memories start to that's all you got, turn over and lie down in a different position. And then try to notice what comes to you and what you can remember. So shifting positions is very helpful. If you're not remembering anything, think about go over in your head like people who are like big part of your life or things that are a big part of your life right now, and see if anything hits. So oftentimes, you'll like remember like during the day, like you'll see something and be like, oh my God, right, I remember that I had that in the dream this morning, because you see it. So oftentimes, if you just go through a list of the people that are main people in your life, sometimes you'll see their faces. You'll come across somebody who was in the dream, and then they'll open up the dream door. It's like there's like a door to the dreams, and all you need is like something to pick that lock. And once you get that one memory or that one image of the person's face or the book over there, it will open up the door to remembering all the rest of it. So it's like kind of sniffing out and trying to find what are things that are going to open that door of my conscious, it's like the skylight of my conscious mind to accessing where it's been at night, and that unconscious material. So anything you can do to pick the lock to open that door is going to be helpful. Setting these intentions before you go to bed are big. Obviously, there's the bedtime Shema, which is core Jewish, awesome gold. If you can read through the bedtime Shema, I will also send you a copy of the bedtime Shema. Then reading through, somebody here has a question of before or after Modeh Ani. That's a really good question. So I don't want to be heretical or anything, but for me, I wait until I get my dream before I say Modeh Ani, because I've experienced too many times that I went straight into Modeh Ani. And for anybody who doesn't know, Modeh Ani is the Jewish statement that you're supposed to say as a first thing upon waking. There's many people that probably would disagree with me and say you got to say Modeh Ani first, but for me, I found that it distracts me away. So I first try to remember my dream, and then once I have like my bullet points of memory of what it is, then I'll say Modeh Ani. Okay. So the nice thing about Modeh Ani is that it also can be a reminder to us. Modeh Ani, like thank you God, you've returned my soul. It can be a reminder to us to stay in touch with our dreams. But that technical point is a good. Oh, but somebody's saying that cannabis can help us not remember our dreams. It can prevent it. True, cannabis and drinking substances don't help. So if you want to go hardcore for these 5 weeks, my friends, I would recommend, not drinking, not smoking, and trying to sleep 8 hours a night. For me, I know that I go into our guest room when I know that I really want to get a good night's sleep and get some serious dreams that I haven't need messages in, then I'll just sleep in a different room so that hopefully my kids won't wake me up, and I'll set it up with my husband beforehand. I'm like, hello, tonight I'm going in, like you got to do the kids in the morning and I'm going to go sleep in the guest room, and I do. So like this depends on how intense you want to take it. I recommend like at least for this first week, go ahead and try to be as committed as you can. 8 hours, for sure, 7 hours of sleep a night, but 8 hours preferably. Doesn't need to be more than 8 hours, but you want to get in that 8. Okay. If you wake up at 3 a.m., go back to sleep as much as you possibly can. I'm sorry to hear that you wake up at 3 a.m. It's interesting. That does happen a lot. I don't know if you're experiencing anxiety. That definitely happens for people with anxiety. And maybe we can look at that in the next session where we look at the emotional stuff, the emotional content. So usually when you're waking up at 3 a.m., it means you have some anxious material. So I'd say try to say to that anxious material, like, I want to hear you, and I want to know the gifts that you're here to give me. Will you communicate that to me in my dreams? Because I want to go back in and try to go back in. Okay.